The following program is sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Get ready with your legal questions and call Patrick now. 877-943-9673. Again, that's 877-943-9673. The law office is open. And now your host, Patrick Smith.
Oh, hi there, and welcome to another edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. I'm your host, Attorney Patrick Smith, and we are live. And today is Saturday, December 17th, and we will be with you for the next hour to answer your legal questions. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Give us a call now. We're live and local, happy to help any way that we can. So we are your one-stop shop for all things legal inquiry related. So if you have a question that came up during your week, we are happy to help you any way we can. 877-943-9673. You can give us a call now, and we will get you right on the air. Brian, the call screener, ready, standing by to screen your call, and so we can answer your legal question. Since today is our Christmas edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, since we'll be playing a best of next week, as it'll be Christmas Eve, we invite you to call in with your favorite Christmas song or Christmas movie, or maybe a Christmas memory you want to share with our listeners. So we open up the phone lines not only for your legal questions, but for your thoughts and maybe a comment on a Christmas movie, Christmas memory, Christmas song. I checked with Brian, the call screener, since he can't pop on the air with us, and I asked him, I said, Brian, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And he shared with me, he said, Home Alone. It was real quick, the fact that it was Home Alone, and he goes, and not Home Alone 2, did not like it. And so I asked him, I said, what are your thoughts on the Home Alone 2 controversy, where a lot of the airings now on various television outlets, they're actually cutting the scene where President Trump guided Kevin to the lobby. You remember that famous cameo that he made? Apparently it's being cut from a lot of the airings that are out there. So, but anyway, Brian, the call screener's favorite movie, Home Alone. Maybe you want to call in with your favorite movie or Christmas song or legal question. We're here to help. I'm Attorney Patrick Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673, or you can email me your questions directly. That is Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. And this past week, I actually saw my very first ever Tampa Bay Lightning game in person. I had some very good family friends invite us out and had an absolutely terrific time experiencing that. It got me thinking about the Tampa Bay Lightning and sort of remembering the issue during the Stanley Cup playoffs with the Tampa Bay Lightning fan who was assaulted up in New York at the Rangers game. And so I started wondering what the update on that was. And as I did a deep dive into it, I saw that there was actually some relevant recent developments in that. So for those of you who aren't familiar, there was a Tampa Bay Lightning fan by the name of Joseph Urcioli, who was assaulted by James Anastasio back in June of 2022 while exiting a Rangers game after a Lightning victory 3-0. Well, as a result of that, Mr. Urcioli hired counsel who brought suit not only obviously against the assailant, but also against Madison Square Garden for various reasons and causes of action. Well, the recent development was Madison Square Garden actually banned the attorneys for the victim since they sued them. So this was the first time I've ever heard this, where the defendant in the lawsuit was banning not the plaintiff, but the plaintiff's counsel for suing them. And then as it goes on, one of the attorneys for the victim, a young man by the name of Alan Greenberg, had tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld at the Beacon Theater. Well, guess who owns the Beacon Theater? Madison Square Garden. So this attorney who took a case to help a victim of an assault winds up getting banned and potentially not being able to use his own tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld at the Beacon Theater. So he has to file his own lawsuit to use his tickets in light of the ban by Madison Square Garden. And according to Supreme Court Justice Judge Frank in New York State, he'll be allowed to attend, thankfully. So the ban was temporarily lifted so that he could utilize his Jerry Seinfeld ticket. So maybe you have some thoughts on that, the banning of an attorney for the victim because they brought a cause of action for that victim. And also, by the way, for those of you who are wondering what the punishment was for the assailant, he received 200 hours of community service, anger management, and a permanent protective order to stay away from the victim. So maybe you think that's a little light. Maybe you think that's too harsh. What are your thoughts on these developments with regard to the Tampa Bay Lightning saga, with regard to the assault of the Tampa Bay Lightning fan exiting the Rangers playoff game? 877-943-9673. That's your live and local line to give us a call now. 877-943-9673, or email us, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. All right, let's go to Sarasota. Let's talk to Diana. Diana, welcome to the show.
Good morning, sir.
Hey,
and
Diana.
I will tell you my favorite Christmas movie is One Magic Christmas with Mary Steenburgen. Oh, it's a wonderful story, and you'll love it.
One Magic Christmas. Okay, what year
Yes.
did One Magic Christmas come out?
You know what? Probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
25 years. It is a fabulous story, though. You'll absolutely love it. And Merry Christmas to all. And I have a question that I'm sure many, many people do. And I live in a manufactured home community, and we have an HOA under 723 in the Florida statutes. And I seem to be the only person living here that moved in the past 3 years that understand our HOA board must be elected under those statutes and must follow them. And so the board just ignores me, refuses to listen, bullies me, threatens me, won't allow me to speak anywhere. And I finally reached my limit with that because these people do have a bit of power. They have the ability to assess. They have the ability to enter into binding contracts in my name, which I had no choice about because I never elected or vetted these people. Can you give me any? I don't want to hire an attorney yet. Can you give me any advice? And I am working with the FMO, Federation of Manufactured Homes in Florida. Can you give me any advice on how to just bring the attention to my neighbors and to these people that it's in our best interest to do things the legal way, and it benefits all of us if things are done correctly?
Well, so let me ask you that, Diana, you're not an attorney, are you?
No, sure not.
Just the way
But I've
that
been involved in
you let off with the statute like that, and it sounds like you've spent hours researching this, have you?
Well, I used to be a grassroots lobbyist in North Carolina at the General Assembly trying to help homeowners, and I swore I would never live in an HOA again. So when I bought in this lovely community that I live in Sarasota, I will tell you the property owners are the most wonderful people in the world. I'm so lucky. I am blessed to have bought into this place, but there is a bunch of old people that have done things their way for so long, and they just continue to. And they just pass the presidency of the HOA amongst themselves, and they never do anything right.
And I
worry.
I think we're supposed to call them senior citizens, not old people, by the way.
Sorry.
That's
well,
okay.
No, here's the little part. There's many
Okay.
wonderful elderly people that I love, not the people on the well, they're not even on the board. Nobody's been elected properly. So I did point out to them that the insurance they have purchased wouldn't possibly cover them because they've never been elected properly. And there are rules in 723 that say they have to be trained within 90 days. None of this has happened. Actually, the current board president didn't even know 723 existed, but they won't listen to me. They think they can just turn all the neighbors against me and I'll shut up, and that won't be happening, as you can probably tell.
Okay, so you worked with lobbyists, so you aren't an attorney, but you've clearly worked with attorneys for a long time if you were a lobbyist. And what is the particular issue? What was sort of the spark that started this with the HOA, Diana?
Well, my concern is, as with everyone here in Florida, and the property that this is on is incredibly valuable where it's located. And so the owners may at some point be made such a large offer that they just cannot turn it down, and they do sell it. And so then we have a corporation owning us. If we don't have a smart HOA in place already to help guide us through that, we're just going to get trampled on. Nobody will understand what the laws are and how to protect us. Right now, during the current owner, we're in good hands. You can't just say nothing's ever going to happen, because something could happen. So I want people to be educated and somebody to be in a position to guide us through a transition smartly should this property be changed in ownership. And I can't convince anybody here that's a good idea.
Well, and I would encourage everyone, and Diana, you included, there was a broadcast we did where we did a show dedicated to homeowners associations and did a deep dive into 723. Going over all the, so you can just visit the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, and it's several episodes back now, but there was a dive we did where we went into everything from records keeping, where the records have to be stored, because there's, limits as far as where in proximity to the actual community they can be stored, and lots of other details regulating homeowners associations as far as how they have to be operated. And you're right, there's a lot of strict rules about that. That's why most homeowners associations have an attorney that represents the HOA. And you don't have to say the attorney's name or the law firm's name, but is there a attorney or law firm that represents your HOA?
No. These people don't even realize they're supposed to be elected under 723. They're looking at bylaws that were made in the community in 1998, and they think that's the rules they can abide by. And even the property owner has said, no, y'all need to hire an attorney. Obviously, you haven't kept up. But the property owner has to keep an arm's length away from the homeowners association. So even though it's in their best interest to have smart people running the association, the property owners cannot legally be involved in any way. And there are other neighbors here who are wanting to help me, but none of them want to take the bullying I'm getting, so none of them will stand up with me. So I'm happy to take the bullying. It's no problem. I just like to figure out a really smart way to say to these people, you have to do what the law says.
Yeah, and Diana, I'm going to really quickly, if you're an HOA attorney out there and you're listening right now and you want to be part of this conversation with Diana, 877-943-9673, or if you have a legal question, 877-943-9673. Yeah, Diana, I think it's probably going to start with you writing correspondence to your board. And do you own the lot there that you live on, or do you rent the lot, or is it like a park share where you have a share of the community?
I own the home, rent the lot, and I will tell you I have communicated multiple times over a 3-year period with the board members. They refuse to respond. They literally think if they just ignore me. And I did communicate with the treasurer because there were serious questions about the budget, and I've received no response. And finally, I just said, if you don't respond to me, then I will look to the nonprofit statutes to get help and maybe contact the IRS. And he immediately resigned. So what does that tell you?
Well, I mean, it tells me, well, it could be suspicious, but, I mean, sometimes people do suspicious things and there's really nothing there to justify the suspicion. But now, so pretend I'm the judge. Prove to me that you've had these communications. How can you prove to me that you've communicated these concerns to your board?
I have copies of all the emails.
So they're emails. Okay.
Yes, and I sent them all to the property manager, too. So,
and I applaud that, but here's my suggestion, okay? So put it in an actual written form, in a hard copy, and I want you to mail it, both regular mail and certified mail, all right?
Yes.
And both ways. That way, if they don't agree to take or sign for the certified mail, there's a presumption they got the regular U.S. mail, and give them a certain number of days to respond. And I think that that's sort of going to be your strategy. And I think that that will probably be sufficient saber rattling to get them to reach out to an attorney. And if it's not, then I think you just need to reach out to an attorney and say on behalf of the board, and I don't think you have to spend thousands of dollars, sort of leading this cause. But I think that just reaching out and saying, I just want to know what the rules are. And I want to know that you guys are following the rules. And I would just appreciate a little communication. I think that's a completely reasonable position, but here's the other thing. And this will segue into our short-term rental update in Indian Rocks Beach. These are still your neighbors, Diana. So at the end of the day, you get the answers you want, but at what price? And as you've already stated, everyone's kind of turning on you. So if you get all these answers and you understand perfectly, and they're operating perfectly, they're in full compliance with 723 and all local city ordinances and county regulations, but the neighborhood doesn't like you, then, what does it really matter? Is that not important to Diana? Is it really? So what price are you willing to pay to know that the rules are being followed, I guess, is the question for you, Diana.
Well, the neighbors that I respect, that are super good people, are supporting me in this, and they do like me, and they just cannot take the bullying. They can't deal with it. So I have wonderful people who have sat down with me and given me information and helped me. They just can't stand up and beside me and say, we're totally for Diana, because they can't take the ugliness. It's no big deal, and it isn't a whole neighborhood against me. Of course, it's the little teeny mob that are satisfied with the status quo and don't care that they've left out the 450 other people that also own property here. So, and my biggest goal is to make sure my property is protected in the event that the community does change ownership, because at that point it's too late to get a knowledgeable board in. You can't wait until there's a offer of sale and then say, hey, we got to have people to know what to do here. I'm just trying to say, listen, let's get people who know what to do in place ahead of time and educate all the homeowners that want to be educated and include everybody. And then should the property be sold, we'll be in a better position to protect ourselves.
Well, Diana, everything you're saying sounds completely reasonable. And here at the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, we are a bully-free zone, so my ears perked up when you said you're being bullied. Can you give me examples of what is being done to bully you?
Oh, well, there is a new president that was appointed a year and a half ago. And before I knew there was going to be the pretend election, I sent him an email and I said, I understand you're running for president. And what I'd really love you to do is invite everybody in the community, because there has never been a meeting of the members. Never been an annual meeting.
Okay.
I said, invite everybody in the community and say, hey, it's time for election. I want to be president. This is why I'd like to represent you. And I understand this is an important responsibility because the property could potentially be sold. I don't know anything about that. So how about let's get a group together and figure out what we do in that case. And I said, I'd like you to speak in front of everybody as to, these important things. And he came to me and he said, why do you need to know that? No, I'm not going to do that. And I said, well, okay, I'll just come to the coffee and I will ask this question there. He said, no, I will never permit you to speak in a coffee. And so then just the other day, I attend the coffees occasionally just to listen to what's being talked about, but it's never anything to do with the HOA and the community. No business.
So that's the bullying that you're citing, the fact that because I know I speak at these groups all across the state. I get invited all over the state to speak at these coffee meetings. I know I have a perfect visual of exactly what this looks like. And you're just saying that they won't let you speak at these meetings, and that's the bullying that you're experiencing?
Oh, they'll never let me say a word.
How can they stop you?
Well, because they pass around a microphone and they say, we've got neighbor news. Does anybody want to talk? But the president came to me the other day and he said, I understand you wanted to talk. And he goes, well, I want you to know I'll never let you speak. He said, you're never going to speak.
Well, I've got news for your president. You don't need his permission. And the microphone is not some totem that it allows you and empowers you to speak. If you have something that important to say, I would encourage you just to say it. But at the end of the day, I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of bad blood there. And I think that write the letter, and I think that, hopefully that gets the response you want. But there's going to be a lot of repair in your relationships that's going to have to happen. And you're probably going to have to swallow a little bit of pride, Diana, if you want to kind of amend those relationships with neighbors so that when you go out and walk the neighborhood, you can smile and wave at everyone as opposed to just certain people. Man, that's the ultimate goal of your neighbors. You want to know that you can knock on their door and get a cup of sugar or a cup of milk or whatever you may need as neighbors. So that's my advice, Diana, and I really appreciate you calling in. It's a fantastic call, and I'm fascinated. So if you want my assistance, I'll give out the office number here in a few moments in the show. I got some other calls to get to, but I'd be happy. You've piqued my interest. I'll be happy to take a look at it and see what I can do to assist, okay?
And I'm going to look back at your previous show.
Yeah, let me know what you think. I'd be curious to get your feedback.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas to all your listeners.
Merry Christmas, Diana. Have a great day. All righty, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. This is our Christmas edition of the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, so you can call in with your legal question. You can call in with your favorite Christmas movie or Christmas song or Christmas memory, and I'll stir that pot. Die Hard, a Christmas movie or not? So, Yumiko, your thoughts. Do you have any thoughts? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Die Hard is a good Christmas movie.
See, I agree with you. I think it is definitely a Christmas movie. Maybe you disagree with us. Give us a call. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. Or you can email me, patrick@attorneypatricksmith.com. But Diana hanging up opened up the phone line, so give us a call, 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Bartow in my home county of Polk and talk to Veronica. Veronica, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Hi, thank you very much. And yes, Die Hard Christmas movie.
Thank you. I appreciate your vote. How can we help you today, Veronica?
Well, it's kind of muddled. I'll try to Reader's Digest this all for you in the last year. Last year, I lost my sister in, no, it's only a family for me and my sister. Lost my sister in March. My dad passed in, thank you. My dad passed in October. And now they all lived in Colorado, my dad, my mom, and my sister. I live here in Florida. After Dad's passing, and then before Dad passed, I managed to get on the bank account. I got PLA for Dad. And after his passing, moved my mom down here to Florida. She has dementia, and she's in a facility. So I filed probate with my dad's will because my sister was first, and of course she passed before he did. So I did everything I thought I needed to do to file that and take care of that. Now, what's going on now is my nephew, my sister's youngest son, is looking at buying the house that my parents had. Which would be great because I don't have to move 47 years of crap out of the house. And we've come up with an amount right now. He's waiting on getting a loan approved, and so he's paying, towards the principal, just, cash to me, to my mom's account. But I'm, obviously expenses for, staying in a facility is not cheap, and I don't want her to run out of money before she runs out of light. So I want to try to sell the house as soon as possible. But as far as capital gains, if she passes and I sell it after she passes, then I'm capital gains, but at the fair market value at the time of her passing. But if I sell before she passes, does she still have capital gains, or is there a fair market adjustment from the time Dad passed? I'm lost on that one.
So any tax question, I always recommend get a good accountant involved, because especially when it's income tax. Now, Dwayne Bischoff is the CPA, and I was actually just talking to Dwayne this last week. We're going to be lining him up for the other side of the new year as we get into tax season to make another appearance on the show. The short answer is you're right. And for the rest of the listeners, just to give them that cost of basis adjustment analysis, this is, and Veronica's referencing, when a person passes away, the property value receives what we call a date of death basis adjustment. So if they bought the property for $100,000 and then they pass away and the property's worth $300,000 and their will leaves it to a family member, the family member who sells that property has a basis charged to them of the date of death value, not the original acquisition. Now, it can change, though, Veronica. So what I hear you saying is mom's still alive, and you want to potentially sell the property now. Now, I give you a caveat there. Is this mom's primary residence?
It was. Both of them lived in the house for 47 years.
Wow.
They were married 61 years, so this was their house.
They're in Bartow?
No, this house is in Colorado.
Oh, okay. So they're Colorado residents.
Yes. I moved mom down here January 1st of this year.
Okay, and so the federal law still applies. I mean, you get the basis adjustment, but I think the critical question is when mom and dad got the property, how did they acquire it? Did they buy the home?
Yes.
Okay.
They bought it.
So yes, I would give you the strongest of urgings to check with a qualified accountant because 47 years ago, that property is going to be significantly less in value, almost certainly. And the capital gains on that 47 years is probably going to be substantial. So it might be worthwhile to consult not only an accountant, but also a Colorado estate planning attorney. And if do you have counsel out there representing you currently?
No. I've done everything I've done on my own.
Okay. Yeah, it might be worth at least a consultation with a good Colorado estate planning attorney just to talk about, in light of this highly appreciated asset, what are the goals we can do under Colorado statute? I'm not a Colorado attorney, so you would need to check out there to see what you can do to get that step up, but also streamline that administration in Florida. You know, had they been Florida residents, I would have said probably setting up some sort of trust, more than likely a simple living revocable trust, put the property in the trust. That keeps all of our homestead exemptions in place, our special creditor protection under the state constitution. I'm not sure if Colorado has that. This is the reason for the consultation with them. But I think that's probably going to be your safest play there. Now, you said you did do a probate. The probate was for the sister who predeceased your father?
Yeah, since she was on the will listed first, it was if anything should happen to him, of course, mom's dementia is such that, she couldn't handle any of this and all the papers and stuff for my dad. So, then it turned to me. So I filled out all the proper paperwork to have me as executor of the will and the estate. So I filed that with probate just so everything was done properly, so to speak.
Where did sister reside?
She was in Colorado also.
So you did the probate yourself, pro se. You had no counsel represent you.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
That's impressive, Veronica. Do you have a legal background?
No, but I did want to be when I was in high school.
So, do you have a resume by chance, Veronica? It sounds like you have some talent for this.
Well, there's that detective nature in everyone, I think, to a point. No, I had to do what I had to do because like I said, I had to fly out from Florida to Colorado to take care of all these crises and the situation. And, Google is your friend, but also your enemy. So, I just common sense and a lot of just detail and some phone calls, but I wanted to make sure that, everything was in order so that nobody, because, and some of it was the caregivers, because it's like, okay, if I'm not on their bank account when when they pass or anything happens to them, guess what? Money's gone.
Yeah, but be careful with that. Be careful with that because, again, just adding names to bank accounts rotely can backfire on you, Veronica, and I'll demonstrate it for you. Number one, the gift tax issue. And number two, if you generate some sort of liability, let's say you go through a divorce, bankruptcy, or have a car accident and get sued for some reason. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that, but I'm just saying.
I did that last year too. It was a whirlwind year.
Well, my point is, then you sort of dodged the bullet. If your former spouse didn't catch an eye of the fact that that your name being on that account potentially exposed it to being subject to your marital separation agreement. So, as an asset owned by you. So you have to be really careful with that. But the bigger issue, I think, with people is the present interest annual exclusion under the gift is only $16,000. So if you have a child's name added to a $200,000 money market account, you can have some gift taxes on that. Now, granted, you can wipe it away by filing a 709, allocating unified credit, but you have to take those steps. Too many people think, the IRS isn't going to catch this. Well, I've got news for you. There's no statute of limitations for a return that's never filed, and they can charge penalties and interest. So these are issues that you need to pay attention to. So, consult with a good accountant and consult with a good Colorado estate planning attorney. I think that's my best advice for you, Veronica.
Okay, that was my question, because there was a question whether I needed probate. I'm like, well, I already filed that with probate, so I don't think I need that. But an estate attorney, that's where I was trying to figure out if that's the direction I needed to go.
I think that would be your best next step. Get in touch with a good Colorado estate planning attorney. If you have trouble finding one, I believe I've worked with a couple in the past, and I can check. If you want to give me a call at the office during the week, I can probably give you a couple names.
Okay, sounds great. I so appreciate the guidance and the help.
You're welcome, Veronica. Have a Merry Christmas. Hey, by the way, your favorite Christmas movie?
A Die Hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
so not only do you think it's a Christmas movie, that is your favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like blowing up. Yeah.
All right. Well, you said you like blowing stuff up?
Well, yeah. Well, I blew up my life here just recently, so why not?
Veronica, you sound like a great time. Have a great weekend, okay?
Great. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, 877-943-9673. This is Attorney Patrick Smith. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, and this is our Christmas edition. You can call in with your legal question, Christmas memory, favorite Christmas song, Christmas movie, anything Christmas related. We're happy to discuss it with you and answer all of your legal questions. 877-943-9673. As always, you can email your questions to me, Patrick at attorneypatricksmith.com. And before we go to Steve in Sarasota, I did tease when I was talking to Diana the update on short-term rentals and that controversy brewing in Indian Rocks Beach. I did attend the regular city commission meeting this last Tuesday, the 13th, and it was fascinating. And it reminded me of something that I experienced last year with Dr. Friedman at Model Senate at Stetson University. When Dr. Friedman was giving his speech, he was talking to the students about the importance of knowing procedure. And he said, if you know the law and the issues, but I know the procedure, I'm going to win every time. And I witnessed that this past week at the city commission meeting, because I watched a local attorney get up and in a meeting where it is set that no one may speak for more than 3 minutes. I saw a local attorney get up there and speak for 20, and he did it by utilizing the rules. And there was a way where he could go in and represent a group and using those rules, get 20 minutes to speak. And it was fascinating the way that someone demonstrated what Dr. Friedman said. You may know the issues in the law, but if I know the rules, I'll win every time. And he did. Certainly that evening he won. And the update, the outcome from this meeting was basically there is going to be a special commission workshop, a work session, they're calling it. And that's going to be January 4th at 5 p.m. And now, apparently, some of the short-term renters have retained counsel who made an appearance and gave a speech there that night. And there's going to be this active collaboration to bring about an amicable resolution for the short-term rental controversy in Indian Rocks Beach. And apparently the next step on that will be the commission work session on January 24th at 5 p.m. So maybe you have a thought on that. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. By the way, the office number, for those of you who want to reach out to me during the week, 877-754-6764. Again, that's your toll-free number for Clearwater, Sun City Center, Sarasota, any of our office locations, 877-754-6764. You can always visit the website, attorneypatricksmith.com, and just submit your request for an appointment there. All right, let's go to a very patient Steve in Sarasota. Steve, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. How can we help?
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm great, Steve. You got a favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life.
Great film. Jimmy Stewart.
Yep, it's a great movie.
My favorite Jimmy Stewart movie will forever be Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And I can't see him in a movie without seeing Senator Jefferson Smith, even in It's a Wonderful Life. But, Steve, we appreciate you calling in. What's your question?
I live in a neighborhood that's fairly large, and it has sub-neighborhoods in it. So there's a main HOA, and then there's sub-HOAs.
I'm familiar with these.
Okay, I am geographically located at the very end on a corner on a different street from my sub-HOA, and they're not providing the services that's outlined in the HOA agreement. Can I remove myself from this HOA and just be a member of the one who is providing the services they agreed to?
Well, I think you got to give them an opportunity to remedy first. I think you put it in writing to them. Hey, you guys are not providing these services. I'm paying these fees for these services. Can you advise?
I've done this.
Okay.
I've done that twice now.
So now, hold on, Steve. In writing, you've done this, or this was an email, phone call?
In writing with a registered letter.
Okay. And you received no response.
No response.
Then go get a lawyer, because that sounds like a violation of the HOA bylaws. I haven't seen those bylaws, Steve, and if you want to call me at the office, I'll be happy to review them with you. But that sounds like they're potentially violating your HOA bylaws.
So there is the opportunity for me to exit that HOA.
Well, I mean, of course, there's always the opportunity, but I believe, and that's going to be governed by those bylaws, Steve, it's going to require their consent for you to exit. Now, guess how likely you are to get their consent.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Right, because if you can exit, then there's going to be an exodus, and everyone's going to want to leave the HOA. So, yeah, I wouldn't really plan on that being the ultimate outcome, but probably what's more likely there is a resolution where they start performing the services that they are supposed to be performing under those operating agreement and bylaws for the HOA.
Just that would be a wonderful outcome.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You just have to, when we talk to clients who have these conflicts, the number one question I start with is, in a perfect world, tell me what this case looks like at the end. So when we're done, what's the best possible outcome for you? And I know now you're saying you want out, but you want out because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So really what you want is just for them to do what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, I think part of why we don't proceed is we're geographically isolated. We are across the street from the little subdivision. We're on a corner. None of our neighbors are in that HOA. So we are actually like a little island as part of that HOA, just a finger sticking out there.
Yeah, I think you reach out to a local attorney, and if you need help, we'll be happy to point you in the right direction. Steve, just give us a call at the office, and we'll be happy to do everything we can to get that resolution. But I think that's a fixable problem. I've seen similar cases before, and I can't guarantee an outcome, Steve, but this one sounds like one that's pretty easily remedied.
Well, that's encouraging. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, Steve. Give us a call at the office next week. We'll do everything we can to help, okay?
Look forward to talking to you.
Have a great Christmas, Steve. Alrighty, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673. Steve hanging up did open up the phone line, so if you've been trying to get in, go ahead and give us another try. 877-943-9673. This is Attorney Patrick Smith, and now we are going to Parrish, and we're going to talk to Nancy. Nancy, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
Thank you very much.
How are you today, Nancy?
I'm okay. I'm a senior citizen. I signed May 6th of 21 for a new home here in Parrish. I closed 6:30. I just have a multiplicity of problems that are being ignored. I paid for floodlights. When I closed, they're not there. They were in the original design center document. I had an electrician to do some work for me, and I asked him to put the lights he took down over my crawl space in the garage, and the helper put the items up, and the electrician is standing there watching. He said, "You have a fire hazard there. You need a home inspection." I have no light in the crawl space. I have the plastic box that the switch should be in, but that's all that's there. So I got a home inspection, had 2 roof leaks in November, and the home inspection just revealed all kinds of things. I have a fire hazard not only there over the garage, but I have a fire hazard over the master bedroom. I went to the county records department on Tuesday. She said, well, there are multiple electrical failures that don't appear to have any correction. There's no record of corrections and the inspections being passed. I have called everybody, my commissioner. I called the county building department only to have 2 men show up at my door to tell me I was nuts. This is before the inspection. I have had to put a lot of money into it to get it to where it is now, to make it livable. I won't go into all of that, but I can't get them to do the punch list. I sent it certified. I even accidentally ran into the record department told me we're going to go up to planning and talk to them because I got the form for the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, and I couldn't get all the answers to one section of questions. And she couldn't answer them in the records department either. So we went to planning, and there was a young man that overheard our conversation who was from the developers. He's a development manager. He overheard the questions. He said, I'm going to see if I can help you. I'm not in warranty. He called me yesterday to say that he had contacted the warranty department, and they said they're going to look into it.
Hey, Nancy, let me ask you this. How much sleep are you getting these days?
And some days, too much.
Yeah,
I suffer from depression, and I'm anemic, and I have an open wound on top of my head from surgery that a dermatologist ignored until finally he did something about it.
You know, I know it's going to sound weird, and maybe it's just from doing radio for so long. I could hear that in your voice, Nancy. And you said you're a senior citizen. Do you mind sharing with the listeners how senior you are?
I'm 79.
Wow. Well, Nancy, you have a beautiful soul, okay? And I can tell that you're really hurting by this situation. So I will give out my office number, okay? And your situation is one that's going to require a little more assistance than I can give on the air to sort of make you feel better. But we will work hard to give you the peace of mind that you're so desperately seeking. Do you have a copy of the contract you did with your builder?
Yes, it's quite large.
That's good. So keep that handy and make sure you've got that safe. And I'll give out the office phone number when we hang up. I want you to call me on Monday, okay? And I will tell you how to get that contract to me. And then I'll look at it with you, and we'll put together a plan to get you to where you want to be, okay?
God bless you.
God bless you. Nancy, let me ask you this. Let's end on a happy note. Do you have a favorite Christmas movie or Christmas song?
Well, I guess it would be It's a Wonderful Life. It has a happy ending.
Yeah. Well, Nancy, we're going to work hard to make sure your story has a happy ending too, okay?
Thank you.
God bless you, Nancy. We'll say a special prayer for you, my dear, and hope you heal quickly.
Thank you.
God bless you. All righty, this is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show, 877-943-9673, 877-943-9673. To be part of our show, you give us a call now. We're live and local, happy to help any way we can. Maybe you have a favorite Christmas memory, Christmas song, Christmas movie you want to share, or a legal question, 877-943-9673. Now, before I go to Ed and Pinellas, I do want to do an FTX update. Sam Brinkman-Fried was arrested this last week after an indictment was issued by the state attorney for the Southern District of New York, and that was presented to Bahamian authorities, and they expected that he will be extradited back to the United States and face criminal prosecution here. And that also ties into another sad story from this last week. We lost a great human being, DJ Twitch, or Stephen Boss, took his own life this past week. And the connection there was this rumor circulating that it had to do with financial troubles. That rumor has since, and it was financial troubles related potentially to the FTX fallout. And that's since been dispelled and proven false. But at the end of the day, there are some dark days for people going into the holidays, and that often gets overshadowed. Like a lot of mental health issues, there's a stigma, so people don't talk about it. But there are resources out there if you are struggling in that regard. I believe it's pound 988 that you can dial 24 hours. And it's the suicide prevention line. They will be happy to be there as a resource for you and to help you and assist you during those days. And, unfortunately, suicide is a permanent solution to very temporary problems. And so we will say a very special prayer for the family of Stephen Boss, aka DJ Twitch, and this especially this holiday season. So 877-943-9673. That's your number to be part of our show. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Ed and Pinellas. Ed, thanks for your patience. How can we help?
Just the previous caller, the gentleman with the homeowners association, sort of stole my thunder a little bit, but I'm a snowbird, and we come down for approximately 6 months every winter. And for the this is going into the third year now, there's people in a unit. We're a 6-story condominium complex, and they break the rules. They run their washing machine at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, 2, 3, 4 times a week. I've been trying to get the board, the property manager, et cetera, to take some action on it. And I've gone through all the steps that the previous caller with the homeowners association has. I've gotten no response. The closest I've gotten to them is I interrupt the board meetings because they will not put it on the agenda. So I speak out of turn, and they all look at me funny, but I don't care at this point. My wife can't sleep. It's loud enough that it keeps her up at night. She's a light sleeper. What action can I take, being that they're inactive? The closest I've come to getting any action out of them is them telling me I have to tell them which unit the noise is coming from. And I go around at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, peeking in windows and everything. The people are smart enough when they run their washing machine, they don't turn any lights on or anything, and I can't figure out which unit it is. I've asked them repeatedly to send out about 12 letters to the units that surround us, figured it has to be one of them, but they haven't done anything. Again, this is going into my third year, and what can I do? I'm frustrated.
I would suggest buying all of your immediate neighbors a year's supply of dry cleaning services. And that way they have no reason to run the... What is it you have against clean laundry? What you don't... I'm just kidding. I hear your pain, and I know living in these sorts of setups, these are the sort of issues you run into. And I think it's a matter of... It sort of comes with the territory. I mean, the fact is, it's impossible...
But
go ahead.
Can I interrupt you there?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a rule. We have rules here. To me, the board isn't enforcing the rules that they put into effect. And they have to by state law, I understand.
Well, so in a landlord-tenant situation, there's something called a covenant of quiet enjoyment, where the landlord has a duty to protect your use of the property.
We own the units.
Right.
We own the units.
I know. It's not exactly the same thing, but I think there's a similar principle here for the HOA to protect your use of the property. And that's what I would suggest you do is, have you written them a letter? Now, I know you said...
I've done the whole thing, the letter, the registered letter, but interrupt them at the board meetings. The president will not put it on the agenda. I mean, I've done everything possible. I've even almost gotten the police involved by telling them, it's a harassment type thing. They're making noise. But I cannot figure out which unit it is. And I'm sure there's a way with a detective agency or flipping electrical breakers or something that they could figure out which unit it is. But I thought they'd at least send letters out to the adjoining units and, give them a nice warning like, hey, the rule here is don't run a washer at 2 in the morning. But they won't even do that for me.
Yeah, but that could backfire. I mean, so in a way, this is the short-term rental controversy in Indian Rocks Beach manifesting in another form because, my ultimate theory on the short-term rental deal is you don't have a problem with short-term rentals. You have a problem with certain behaviors by human beings, whether they're short-term or long-term. And that's what you're dealing with. You have inconsiderate neighbors here who want to do laundry at 1 or 2 in the morning. And at the end of the day, I think it's an issue. Unfortunately, it sounds to me, Ed, you're going to have to get a lawyer involved and have the lawyer send a letter because it sounds like a nuisance issue, and the HOA is responsible to govern that issue more than likely under those bylaws. So I think get your bylaws for your HOA, call a lawyer, and if you need help getting connected with one, give us a call. We'll be happy to put you in touch and assist you the way we've assisted a lot of people over the years.
Will do. I've actually told the property manager and the president, I said, it's actually getting to the point, the condominium is becoming unlivable. I mean, that would be one of my recourses to, hey, I can't live there.
Well, Ed, listen, just give me a call at the law office, and we will be more than happy to help you any way we can. Did you get the number when I gave it out earlier?
Yeah, I got it. Thanks for your time, and God bless, and have a good Christmas.
You're welcome. God bless you. Have a great day, Ed. Are you guys ending the show early? You guys ready? I just heard the national anthem. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
Is that just in my? Okay, we got it. All right. 877-943-9673. Yeah, I had to check the clock, and I was like, oh, I didn't. I thought I was good on time. 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673 to be part of our show. And you can call in with your legal question. You can also call in to share your favorite Christmas movie, Christmas song. We're happy to participate with anything Christmas related. So 877-943-9673. 877-943-9673. All right, let's go to Sarasota. Let's talk to Joanne. Joanne, welcome to the Attorney Patrick Smith Show.
First of all, I'd like to say you're so sweet and compassionate to that lady in Parish.
That's Joanne, they just told me my clock was wrong. I have 30 seconds. I'm so sorry. So you're going to have to be really quick.
Merry Christmas and the Bishop's Wife is the movie.
Oh, thank you so much, Joanne. This is the Attorney Patrick Smith Show. Make sure you tune in next week for our best stuff. Reach me at the office, 877-754-6764. Everyone stay safe. God bless. Go Gators and Merry Christmas.
The proceeding was sponsored by the law offices of Patrick L. Smith. W282CI Tampa, W271CY Lakeland, W262CP Bayonet Point.
Online at letstalkfaith.com or listen on TuneIn and Odyssey.
When Holly's son was considering suicide, she called a Focus on the Family counselor.
All those years I'd been listening to Focus, I was thinking about how they were like that practical guide for me. That was sound advice I could get from them. I didn't really know where else to turn.
I'm Jim Daly. Help us rescue hurting parents and give families hope. Donate at focusonthefamily.com/family, and your gift will be doubled.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing